Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. Today we're going to go quickly over the new cards that are likely to be in the next upcoming pack. And the reason I wanted to go over this is because we just got the top 100 deck list for the Duelist Cup. We didn't get all of them. I'll go over them when more of the deck lists come out. But we do have first place, which is Ryan Yu. Now notably, Ryan Yu was like 12,000, I think it was 14,000 points ahead of second place. Now, he's playing Labrynth. And there's a reason I'm pointing this out while I'm making this video, which you could probably tell by the title and the thumbnail, is about the new Labrynth cards. But notably, Labrynth is not the best deck. Ryan Yu is the better player. He has, in 3 consecutive Duelist Cups, I think consecutive, in 3 consecutive Duelist Cups, he has placed 3rd, 1st, and 1st. It may have actually been... may not have been consecutive, but in 3 of the more recent Duelist Cups, he's gotten 3rd, 1st, and 1st. He's just better, okay? So keep that in mind when looking at this and looking at specifically Labrynth winning. Labrynth, to me, isn't the best deck, and I think a lot of people would probably agree, and even given the decks that we currently have, it wasn't the most represented. So because of that, to me, it doesn't say, like, oh, Labrynth is the best. Also, you can play Labrynth in a myriad of ways, but with things like 5 Rainbow Magician and the like, I wanted to point this out and be like, hey, Labrynth got the top spot, and with likely Aureus coming in the next pack, given the fact that, I mean, that would make sense logically. This is from a very old set, and it would make sense to have it release and be in the shop at the same time as specifically the rollback, transaction rollback. So I just quickly want to go over Aureus and Labrynth, as well as some of the other cards that have been leaked, because all of these, well, at least the notable cards, the Unchained and the Labrynth cards, are actually support for Labrynth, even though the Unchained has like its own archetype. It can also be played in Labrynth. So real quick, I want to go over Aureus. Aureus is basically Coup Clock 2.0, which says, during the main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the field, to the grave in order to, from your hand, either special summon a lab monster or set a normal trap. That set card can be activated this turn. So what this allows you to do is basically not only have the ability to, you know, set a trap and potentially get like a welcome or a big welcome online or something along those lines, you could also potentially special summon something like an Oriana, which could then get you a Coup Clock or a Chandelier or a Stovey Torby or something along those lines to get you access to those spells and traps. And notably, this can be activated on your opponent's first turn as well. Now, I've been playing a going second version of Labrynth. If you want to check out the video, I believe it's the most recent video. But if you want to go check that out, you can. But a going second version of Labrynth actually did end up winning a regional in the TCG, and because of that, well, I should say, it was because of Aureus. Aureus is an absolutely insane card. It allows you to basically play the game on the opponent's first turn while you are actually going second, which gives you like access to the battle phase and access to utilizing your traps on your turn more effectively and stuff like that, which is very interesting, and I'm very excited for this card, I will say. Also, on top of that, it has a second effect where when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your activation, to the activation of your Labrynth card or effect, except itself or a normal trap card or effect while this card is in your grave, you can special summon this card. So, again, very similar to Coup Clock, except utilizing cards from the hand instead of just giving you the ability to activate any trap card. You special summon it, or you set it, and then you activate it, and then if your opponent responds to it, like for example, if they were to Ash it, you can go, cool, I'm going to special summon back the Aureus, and now you have a level 6 Dark Fiend on your field. Now, why does this matter? Because of the new Unchained support, which is, again, likely to come in the same pack. Now, this is likely, it's not actually confirmed, but, again, likely given the fact that, again, with transaction rollback, it would make sense to release the new Aureus, and with Aureus, what else would make sense? Put the same cards in that pack being Unchained to fill out those UR spots. It would make sense, at least in my mind, and so, yeah, likely to have this show up as well. I would also expect Noir to show up at some point, Pearly Noir. Is that likely to happen? It should be, in you know, that card has been in purgatory, I guess, forever. I really don't know what's going on with that one. But notably, we have a level 6 Fiend in Shiyama and Shavara, which I'm going to talk about in a second, as well as a Link 2 in Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama. All three of these are fantastic additions for Labrynth, and I'll go over those, the reasons, starting off with Yama first, which is much better in just regular Unchained, but it does have merit in Labrynth, because all it requires is 2 Fiends. Now, notably, in something like regular Unchained, you can just normal summon a tour guide, special summon another guy, and then you're off to the races, because what this guy does is, on special summon it adds an Unchained monster from your deck to your hand, or deck or grave, I should say, to your hand. The grave part is actually important. However, if this card, if a card is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your grave, you can banish this card to special summon a fiend from your hand or grave, and then destroy a card you control. Now, notably, that may not seem very good, but because of the way that Unchained in particular works, all of the cards basically have floating effects of some capacity, especially if they're destroyed by another card. So basically all of the Unchained cards are going to float in some capacity if you were to trigger this effect. And on top of that, if your opponent were to destroy something, whether that's by battle or card effect, you are then able to get additional recursion by special summoning something and then popping it to put another body onto your field, which potentially gives you additional disruption. And with the other traps and the like, also giving you the ability to trigger this effect yourself, you can then, have an additional form of interaction or an additional form of recursion by adding something back that, off of the pop or something along those lines. It gives you that additional form of play. Unchained is a very similar deck to something like Salamangreat. When Salamangreat was really strong and powerful, this has a very similar vibe, where it's basically summon a whole bunch of monsters, utilizing the consistent recursion and the high power level of a few cards here or there to really make it shine. Now, what does Shiyama and Shavara do? Where I'm actually going to start with Shavara, which says during the main phase, you can, if this card is in your hand, you can target a fiend monster or a face-down card you control, destroy it, special summon this card, and then you're locked into fiends while it's on the field. However, it does have a secondary effect, which is if it's sent to the grave, you can target, or you can set an Unchained spell trap directly from your deck. Now, notably, what this gives you access to is the ability to even use Shavara as link material for something like your Yama, which can then set a card which could be used for a future Shiyama, or Shavara, which could be used for Shiyama, as I mentioned previously, as well as any of your other Unchained cards. But notably, this also can target just a set card, which means you can also utilize Labrynth cards to go along with this. And since it's searchable off of basically any 2 fiends with Yama, you are able to go, cool, search out Shavara, pop the Yama, put it into the graveyard, summon out this guy. This guy could then potentially be bounced back with like a big welcome, which could then be used to dodge effects like Effect Veiler or Imperm or something along those lines, or allow you to chain block in some capacity if you need to. And it's very, very useful for situations like that, which is why it comes up quite often. However, it's also a level 6 fiend. Now, why is that important? One second. The rank 6 is very important here with Wave High King Caesar, or I should say the level 6, which just requires 2 level 6 Fiend monsters, which, hey, Arius, Shavara, Shiyama, all level 6 Fiends. And what it does is when a spell trap card or monster effect is activated that includes the effect that special summons a monster, detach, negate, destroy. That's it. It does also have a recursion by adding a Dark Contract card from your deck to your hand if it is sent from the field to the grave, which can potentially give you access to something like a Deus Ex or something along those lines if you wanted to play the Dark Contract. Something up to you. But, most notably, not a once per turn. So it's basically 2 special summon negates, which is very, very nice. And with the insane recursion from things like the Unchained Soul of Shavara and what have you, it means that you basically have a whole lot of engine to potentially push through boards, while also having the ability to end on a fairly decent interaction in the DDD monster, while also having access to your entire Unchained line, which can potentially be additional pops. You can go into Unchained Abomination, which gives you a whole bunch of interaction, and then if you wanted to, you can also play the Labrynth stuff on top of that to basically go, cool, I'm going to make a rank 6, and then I'm also going to slap on top of that 3 to 4 set cards, which all could be interactions and additional disruptions, which is pretty strong. Now, let's talk about Shiyama real quick, which is basically just another way to get another 6 onto your field for specifically Unchained. This one's a Water Fiend, but it is at level 6 as well, and you can target a card, you control, destroy it, then you can destroy one spell trap on the field. That effect is not as useful, but it does definitely come up, so keep that in mind. However, that's just its on-field effect. If this card is in the grave, you can target a Fiend monster or a face-down card you control, destroy it, special summon this card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves. Now, if it's obviously an Exi material, that secondary effect doesn't matter, so you can just send it to the graveyard, and all of a sudden it's in the grave for that secondary effect. And that could even trigger the DDD monster as well by giving you access to your Dark Contract by popping the High King Caesar there. But notably, this also triggers all of your DD monster, not your DD, your Unchained monsters, as well as the spell traps. Because all of the spell traps, if they are set and popped, they special summon an Unchained monster, and all of the monsters, if they're popped by another card effect, they're able to summon another of your Unchained monsters as well. So that basically gives you access to, Shavara, pop a card, search out Yama, yada yada, all of them basically get another guy onto your field by popping a card, which then gives you, access to the combo to go into the High Wave King, or Wave High King Caesar, and etc. Right? And also a bunch of link material and stuff like that. Normally, what you're ending on as well is you're ending on the other link 2 for Unchained, which is it links off your opponent's monsters by utilizing them to go into the link 3, and then you're also ending on your Wave King as well, or Wave High King, as well as a set card, which may not seem like a lot, but with Shavara in hand as well, that's actually a lot of interruptions. It's 2 Omni Negates, it's a way to link off, or not Omni Negates, it's 2 Special Summon Negates, it's a way to link off the opponent's cards, it's a way to pop cards from your opponent as well with the set card. I could look up the Unchained card, but I'm too lazy to do that, as well as a few other points of interaction, mostly being from just recursion, having the ability to have basically a full grip on follow-up, or full follow-up, basically, which is very, very strong. So that's Unchained. The last thing I want to talk about is Battling Boxer. Battling Boxer is likely to show up as well, according to Decade, which is fairly right most of the time. But for the most part, this isn't really going to change a whole lot. Most notably, the only card that actually would matter for top tier meta decks, or just meta decks in general, would be Dempsey. Dempsey is most usable in Fire Kings, Infernoble. Sorry, it's a fire deck. Infernoble. And the main reason for this is because it's just 2 level 4 monsters. It's a fire warrior monster, which is very, very nice. And if it is special summoned, you can take a level 4 or lower fire warrior or battling boxer spell trap, and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave, which that's the most important part. So basically, it's just an additional way to search a card. You can even dump a card if you need to off of if you get drolled, you can still send Ogier if you need to, which is pretty nice. And notably, it's a warrior. So if you maybe need to go into a warrior off of 2 rank or 2 4s or something like that, it's just a very, very useful generic card. All of the rest of the cards are fairly good. I'm not going to talk too much about them. I'll hover over them real quick. If you want to pause and read their effects, you can do that. But most of these effects aren't all that interesting for Battling Boxer. They're not really going to change the game plan or really change what they're doing. They're just kind of boosting the power level ever so slightly. Cross counter is a fairly decent counter trap now, as opposed to not. Because I believe it now no longer just has to be in the battle phase. To be fair, the other counter trap is one of the best counter traps in the battle phase specifically, and is one of the best interactions in the game in the battle phase. But this one actually is just a decently good trap. So Battling Boxer is here. I doubt that it will do anything too notable, but there you go. And yeah, that's more or less all that I wanted to talk about. Just the new lab support and how it kind of functions. I know I didn't really go over any of the replays or stuff like that, but kind of strapped for time, so couldn't really do that. Sorry about that. Anyway, hopefully you guys are excited as I am for Unchained and Labrynth and all of that stuff. And yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, I'd like us very much. So appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, just be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.